So now let's talk about those energy vampires. So narcissists need an endless amount of what we call narcissistic supply. And supply is anything that feeds a narcissist's ego, which I kind of liken it to sort of like a tip of the iceberg sort of a thing. The tip of the iceberg that you see is the kind of thing that feeds anybody's ego, which is showing them respect, having lots of money, being recognized for things. We all want to feel seen and heard and know that we matter. And so, that's the kind of thing that is good for everybody. Who doesn't feel good when somebody's complimenting them, right? It's the other side of narcissism, that other side of narcissistic supply, that to me is the hidden side, the side that they don't show as many people. I kind of think of it as like when you pick up a rock and there's like bugs underneath it, that it's sort of the dark underbelly that they don't really show people except for their targets most of the time. And that's the form of narcissistic supply that comes in devaluing and making you feel bad and gaslighting and lying to you and manipulating you and lining up flying monkeys, triangulation, all of those kinds of things. And when you're dealing with a narcissist, you're dealing with somebody who's constantly needing an endless amount of supply. It's their lifeblood, it's their food, it's their oxygen. So they literally attach themselves to people so that they can drain as much life out of you as they possibly can. And one of the things that I found so interesting when I first started learning about narcissism is that they don't attach themselves to you because you're so worthless, because then you wouldn't be a good source of supply. They attach themselves to you because you have so much worth. And the not so secret is that you are the stronger one, you're the more powerful one. And so they want to attach themselves to you because they actually want to have what you have. And when I was dealing with a couple of narcissists in my own life, I found them kind of, especially because the couple of narcissists I was dealing with were covert passive-aggressive narcissists. And if you want to know more about covert passive-aggressive narcissists, definitely check out my video on covert passive-aggressive narcissists. But I found them to be like, almost like wanting to become me. And I didn't have the vocabulary to say, oh, this person is a narcissist, that's why this is happening. But I knew how I felt. And I knew that these people were like draining the life out of me, where I just felt like that something was seriously wrong. When you're dealing with a narcissist, you feel like drained physically, emotionally, spiritually, physically, in every possible way. You feel drained, and kind of from the beginning that something doesn't feel right, that it doesn't seem right. But it's really, really confusing because they start off with that whole love bombing stage, and so you feel like, oh, they're saying all the right things, they seem to be perfect in so many ways, and so you end up kind of drawn into this situation. Because most people don't understand narcissism. They haven't had to deal with narcissists. And so I know I didn't. And people think, so often, just yesterday, in fact, I was talking to a coaching client who was saying that she, is a strong person. And I've had guys say that to me too. I mean, I'm a strong person. I'm a really good business person. I've been very successful. It has nothing to do with that, because these are people who are highly, highly skilled at being manipulative. I don't even know if it's so much of an intelligence issue as it is a skill issue. Like, they're really, really skilled at getting people where they want them to be. And so I almost look at them as like, these black widows or something. who get you into their web, and then so they can suck the blood out of you and literally drain the life out of you. And if you think that you have been a victim of an energy vampire, give me the word bloodsuckers in the comments. Okay, so the first sign that you are dealing with an energy vampire is the fact that they're always involved in some kind of drama, or maybe they're the victim of something. There's always something going on with them. There's always some reason why the energy and the focus needs to remain on them. You know, they're sick, they have bad things happen to them, they've been fired, they have to move, there's just always something going on. So the focus has to always remain on them. So that's one of the signs. Another sign is they diminish your problems and emphasize their own. Oh yeah, well, you think that's bad? Well, wait till you hear what happened to me. Oh, I know that's, it seems terrible, but, you ought to try my life. They're kind of always one-upping you. It's always like so terrible. And a lot of times what I've noticed with these, especially with these covert narcissists, is they contrive it. And I've even known covert narcissists who they've been willing to give up a relationship with their own children because it serves the narrative. That way, everybody feels sorry for them. That way, they get to be the victim. And, oh, isn't that awful that your children aren't speaking to you? That's terrible. Where they actually sabotage the relationship themselves. So they go to almost any length to have the attention remain on them. And number 3 is similar to what I was talking about before, but it goes even another step further, which is that they're a martyr. Oh, I always have to be the one to take care of everything and everyone. Poor me, woe is me. All the bad stuff happens to me. Life isn't fair. I'm always the sick one. I can never catch a break. And you definitely especially see this from covert narcissists. The next thing that you see is they take advantage of your loving and caring nature. I was actually just talking to somebody this morning who was just saying how upset she was that her husband wouldn't do anything around the house, like nothing, like not even take out the trash, not help with the animals, nothing. And what made her the most mad, even more mad when she found out that her husband was cheating with somebody half his age, more mad than anything was the fact that she found out that he was doing stuff around her house, that he was actually taking out the trash and all these things. Like here she is over there doing everything. He wasn't even working. And yet, here she is being taken advantage of. And I know that was my experience too. A lot of times when you're in these relationships, you're the one who ends up working so hard, doing 95% of the contributions to the relationship, and it's still not enough. They're still entitled. You're supposed to be doing that for them. Yeah, well, what have you done for me lately, kind of a thing. And you're just busting your butt to try to keep up with everything and hoping that, they're going to see that, they're going to appreciate that, but they never really do. It's just like you're constantly putting in deposits, but you're never taking out any withdrawals in that situation. It's a black hole that you're constantly feeding. And the next thing is that they guilt trip you and manipulate you and try to make you feel bad. So, this is part of the manipulation factor. They're constantly, making you feel like you're not doing enough, you're not giving enough. Oh, how could you be so mean to somebody who's sick? Why would you bring that up? I can't believe you're bringing up something so small. You're really blowing this out of proportion. It's not that bad, or, and so you're constantly feeling guilty and manipulated in the relationship. And the next one is that you're always feeling traumatized. You're just always like, what are they doing next? What are they doing to me next? What's happening next? I know that's how it was with me. And I've dealt with narcissists a lot in my law practice, but it wasn't until I actually had to experience this, not as a husband, but as people, who were close enough to me to do damage. And, I was always like feeling like the next shoe is going to drop, what's around the corner, what are they going to do to me next? Constantly trying to figure out, where can I put up boundaries? Where can I protect myself? How can I anticipate what they're going to do next and protect myself and put up boundaries? And you just, it's exhausting. So you kind of feel tired all the time and feel traumatized all the time. So that's another way that you might know that you're dealing with an energy vampire. And the last way is that you feel like they're constantly watching you, almost trying to become you. And you should definitely check out my video on they're always watching you, or why narcissists are always watching you, because it's really kind of a creepy thing that they're studying you to almost figure it out, what it is that you have, and become you. And somehow they think if they sort of suck all of that energy out of you and suck all of your traits from you, that they can kind of have them. It's the most crazy piece of narcissism. It's one of the creepiest pieces that I found about narcissists. But you definitely want to understand that that's what you're dealing with when you're going to negotiate with them, because you're going to feel tired, you're going to feel traumatized, and you're going to be wondering why. And it's understanding this and feeling and starting to feel more powerful that will allow you to start taking those steps toward getting out of the relationship. Have you ever met somebody, they started off to be the most charming, charismatic person you've ever met in your life, then they turned out to be your worst nightmare, and then when you go to negotiate with them, they're a living hell? Well, I developed something called the SLAY method of negotiating with narcissists, and it has helped tens of thousands of people in more than 150 countries win, go from feeling drained and defeated to getting the outcomes they want. And the reason why it works is because I spent more than 20 years studying narcissism as a trial attorney, and now I'm here to help you win too, and also take your suffering and turn it into your superpower. Take your pain and turn it into profit, peace, and purpose as a highly specialized, high conflict negotiation coach. If you want to learn how to do it, then just go to RebeccaZung.com/apply, and I will show you how. How do you become non-reactive? So hard, right? So hard. It's like, feels impossible, because they just want to trigger you. That is their main goal. They know that if they trigger you, then they have you. That's what they want to do. Why do they do that? They do that because, well, for a number of reasons. First of all, they enjoy it. They actually enjoy it. They enjoy watching you become unglued. It's theater to them. They get narcissistic supply from it. That's like anything that feeds their ego. They know they have control over you then. They know that they still have power over you. They know that they still can get something from you, right? They know that they have that like jolly thing going on over you if you get triggered. That's one of the reasons that they do it. And another reason, even more sinister, even more stealth, even way worse, is because they get you to do things that they can potentially use against you. And as a lawyer, I'm telling you right now, and in negotiations, it's so much worse, because it's like getting arrested. Negotiating with a narcissist is like getting arrested. Anything you can and do or say will potentially be used against you. So it's so important, because anything that you write, anything you put your hand to, is a potential trial exhibit, or is a potential thing that they're going to use against you in negotiations. So it's really important to become non-reactive in negotiation. So how do you do that? Well, one way you can do that is to know your truth. Know who you are, right? Know who you are. I love the book, The 4 Agreements. It's 4 agreements you make with yourself. And one of the agreements that you make with yourself is you don't take things personally, because the way people treat other people is always a direct reflection of the way they feel about themselves. I love the expression, you can't chase every dog that barks. I mean, you know, people are always going to be saying things. You can't take things personally. And I had this teacher one time, it was this meditation teacher, who said to me, if people say things to you, just, you know, take a listen to it and then decide, is it true? And if it's true, then clean it up. You know, do I need to apologize? What do I need to do? If it's not true, then just, you know, move on. When people are attacking you and you want to look fearless, by the way, I have a whole video on that called How to Look Fearless When a Narcissist is Attacking You. You can definitely check that out. But just know your truth, know who you are, and don't defend yourself, by the way. I have a whole video on that too. Because when you defend yourself, that's when you're being a victim. So don't defend yourself. Know your truth. Just stand in your power. And that's one way to become non-reactive. Don't defend yourself. Just state your facts. And, you know, you never explain, justify, overshare. You don't get into the trenches with them. You just know your truth. State your facts. Stand in your power. So that's number 1. Number 2 is look at things as an observer. You don't process things emotionally. You look at them as a third-party observer, almost like you're watching a tennis match or you're watching it happen. It's not actually happening to you. You're watching it. Like there's this glass shield that's happening right here, and you're just seeing it happen. Oh, I just saw those words come past me. Oh, I just saw them go that direction. I saw that this person said this thing to me. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Yeah. That happened. I see you. So I'm seeing it happen. I'm seeing it as an observer, and you can even verbalize it to them. I see that you're upset. I see that you just said that to me. And when you start to verbalize it that way, you are actually starting to observe it to them, and you're just non-reactive. So I want you to practice that right now. I want you to write, I see you, in the comments below. Because I want you to just start practicing, I see you, because it's almost like you're playing tennis and you're volleying it back to them. I see you. I see you. You're pushing it back. You're pushing it back to them. You're looking at it as an observer. You're not allowing it to come over to you. It's not coming to your side of the equation. Got it? You're just looking at it as an observer. You're not being triggered. You are not reactive. That's number 2. And number three is advice that I take myself all the time, every day. And that is, I never leave my thoughts unsupervised. Never leave your thoughts unsupervised. It is a constant process. What your input is what your output is going to be. Obviously, when you're at work, when you are doing things, you're going to be busy. Your thoughts are going to be whatever your thoughts are going to be when you're focused on something else. But when your thoughts have those times of being able to just think whatever they're going to think, I think we think like, 40 thoughts a minute, 100 thoughts a minute, whatever it is. And a lot of times our thoughts go toward the negative if we don't train them properly. So train them properly. So how do you do that? You make sure that you keep your vibrational level high. Good thoughts, positive thoughts, joy, happiness, contentment, peace. Those are high vibrational thoughts. You want to make sure you keep them high. So how do you do that? You listen to audiobooks, you listen to YouTube videos, you listen to podcasts, whatever it is that you need to listen to make sure that those thoughts are going where you need to go. And you can listen to books that are going to keep you motivated, keep you positive, keep you energized, keep you feeling good, whatever it is, whoever makes you feel good, whoever makes you feel like I'm ready, I'm good, this is great. Because thoughts are just thoughts. Those are just beams of energy that are firing off in your brain. That's all they are. And you can rewire them to be whatever you want them to be and create whatever you want. And you can literally manifest whatever life you want to manifest. You just got to reprogram the thoughts. Okay, so that's number 3. Never leave your thoughts unsupervised. And that's how you start to become non-reactive to people, and how you can start to become not triggered by those crazy toxic people in your life, which is super critical when you are dealing with them, when you're negotiating with them, whether it's a formal negotiation or whether it's just a conversation and you're just communicating with them on a daily basis. All right. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Let's be real. Therapy can feel like a really big investment, but your mental health is just as important as your physical health. Traditional in-person therapy can cost $100 to $250 per session, but with BetterHelp, you can save up to 50% per session on average. You pay a flat weekly fee, which means more peace of mind for less. Therapy should feel accessible, not like a luxury. BetterHelp gives you that, all from the comfort from your home. And with over 30,000 therapists to choose from and 5 million people served globally, this is the world's largest online therapy platform. And you can switch therapists at any time. Your well-being is worth it. Visit betterhelp.com/negotiate today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/negotiate. Okay, so how do you keep your cool against narcissists? You know why it's so hard? You know why it's so hard? It is so hard because they want you to lose your cool. It is their mission. It is their life's purpose. You know how I just said it's my life's purpose to get your life back? It's their life purpose to have you lose your cool. Because you know why? They get narcissistic supply from it. It's their food. It's their lifeblood. It's their oxygen. It's what they feed off of. They need that supply. That's what they live for. They love it. They love it. Okay. They need that supply. And so when you lose your cool, they feed off of that. All right. So not only do they feed off of it, by the way, but when you lose your cool, they get that supply, but they also want to be able to use it against you, because they use your reaction in your emails and your texts and all those sorts of things as proof of, look how crazy they are. Look at that. Or they take pictures or they take videos or they show people, look at the crazy person. And they use it in court, or they use it in mediations, or they use it in the case, or they tell people, they show the neighbors, or they show the family, look at the crazy person. They only show that half of it. So there's so many reasons why you need to keep your cool against narcissists, not just for the other reason of, why give them the satisfaction? Why give them the supply that they want? Don't give it to them. And you know, the funny thing is that I knew this. I knew this even before I knew all this about narcissists. When I was dealing with narcissists in my own life, somehow I knew not to feed into it, but I just knew not to try to do this. But I didn't know why, but I knew. So I use the acronym COOL WORDS, and I like it because it's easy to remember. and I want you to use it too. The first word is cool. Second word is words. So the letter C is the first letter for you to remember, and it's chill. Chill out, take a break. All right. So just chill out, take a break, go away from it. That means throw water in your face, walk away, take a break from the person, take a breath. That means I need to get away from this person. Get up, say, I need a break from this person. And that's the last thing they want you to do, by the way. They don't want you to take a break from them. That's when they come running after you. Don't let them do it. Just say, I need to take a break. I'll be back in a little bit. That's the first thing, C. Next one is O. Observe their behavior. Observe their behavior verbally to them, without emotion, without judgment. I can see that you're upset. I can see that you're angry. What is it that's making you angry right now? Get them to verbalize it. Just take yourself out of it, like as if you're a third person just observing. You're not in it. You're just observing. So that's O, observing. So you're observing it to them as if without emotion, without judgment. All right. That's the first O. The second O is you're observing as if you are a bystander. So the first O is you are verbally observing it to them. I can see that you're upset. I can see that you are angry. The second O is you are observing as if you are a bystander. Okay. You don't feel like you need to get into it. You're just like dodgeball, like the ball is just going past you and it hit the wall. You don't need to say anything. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to take it personally. And, Judge Lynn Toller talked about this in my video, which was really a great interview that I did with her. And you can definitely check that out. It's on this channel. And it was, all about divorcing a narcissist in court. And you definitely want to check out that interview that we did. And then L is just let it go by you. You just let the words go by you. You're just letting them, you're just stepping aside. You're just letting the words go by you. So again, you're just observing the words, you're observing the behavior, you're observing them to them. You're just letting this all happen. Observing, letting it go by. You're a third person. You're taking yourself out of the situation. Okay? So that is the word cool. And then the last part of it is words. This is my favorite part of it. This is a secret I actually used to use myself when I was a trial lawyer. I would actually write down certain words, or I would keep certain words in my head. These are power words that become your mantra. These are power words that help you remember how you're going to be powerful. So, what is your word of the day? Is it power? Is it strength? Is it leverage? Is it resilience? Is it confidence? What is your word of the day? What is the word that's going to keep you grounded for today? Is it control? In the book Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill talks about the power of auto-suggestion as a way of reprogramming your brain or your neuronal patterns. Joe Dispenza talks about it. A lot of people have talked about this power of reprogramming your brain. And you can actually do this. And so if you know that you are going to be triggered by this person, you're going to meet with them, maybe it's a mediation, or you're going to have this particular conversation. Maybe there's an agenda and you're worried that you're going to be triggered by them, and you're really worried that you're going to keep your cool. Have this particular word. Maybe it's a symbol that you have on your paper. Maybe it's a star, or maybe just like a moon or something that's just means nothing to anybody else but you. But when you look at it, it's just going to remind you of that word that is going to say, you're going to say to yourself, power, strength, courage, resilience, confidence, whatever you need to be reminded, oh, that's right, my badass self has shown up over here. That's who's sitting here. The elite version of myself is sitting over here. No one else, no weak ass version of myself. I left that person outside the door. That person isn't welcome here. That person is not sitting in the room. No one else but the powerful version of myself is sitting in this room right now, today. That no one else is invited to sit here in this room today. No one else but the whole complete version of myself is sitting in this room today, period. And you stay in that mindset no matter what, so that you know that you can get through it. And if you need to set a time limit when you're having that conversation with that person, then set a time limit so that you know, like, I'm only going to be in here for an hour and that's it. And then I'm done. So remember, cool words when you show up, when those emotions get red hot, when you're having that conversation, so that, you know, you can just look at that person. You're going to say, I'm not going to be triggered by this person. No matter what you say, I'm not giving you control. I'm not giving you control over me. I'm not giving you control over my emotions. I'm not allowing you to trigger me, because I know if you do, that you are going to have something that you can use against me. And remember that that's what narcissists want to be able to do. They want to be able to control you. They want to be able to trigger you. So I want you to write down in the comments right now, I keep my cool. I keep my cool. I know how to keep my cool, right? Because you will not give them that power. You're not giving them that satisfaction. You're not giving them that opportunity to take that from you. I mean, anytime you say, you know, he makes me feel or she makes me feel, you're giving them that power. Don't give them that power. You know, don't give them the opportunity to allow that. You have the power to be in control of your emotions. If you're a renter, this is a no-brainer. You earn points on groceries and travel, so why not on rent? With Bill, paying rent finally pays off. There's no cost to join, and just by paying rent, you unlock flexible points that can be transferred to your favorite hotels and airlines, a future rent payment, and your next Lyft ride, and more. When you pay rent through Bill, you unlock two powerful benefits. First, you earn one of the industry's most valuable points on rent every month, no matter where you live or who your landlord is. Your rent now works for you. Second, you gain access to your exclusive neighborhood benefits in your city. These include extra points on dining out, complimentary post-workout shakes, and unique experiences only Built members can access. And when you're ready to travel, Built points can be converted to miles and hotel points. Your rent can literally take you places. Start paying rent through Built and take advantage of your neighborhood benefits by going to joinbuilt.com/negotiate. That's joinbilt.com/negotiate. Make sure to use our URL so they know we sent you. That's joinbuilt.com/negotiate. In this video, I'm going to tell you 5 things to stop thinking about narcissists right now that you might be thinking, and I want to help you stop that cycle so that you can move on, so that you can actually shift that dynamic, start actually becoming the more powerful one when it comes to dealing with narcissists. Whether you're dealing with them in a personal relationship, a business relationship, a family relationship. Did you know that narcissists are actually 15% of the population, potentially? We are actually becoming overrun with them in the world right now. And if each one of those people actually emotionally abuses just 3 people in their lifetimes, that's actually 3.4 billion people on the planet. That's actually almost half the people in the population. And I think that's actually low. I mean, seriously, the destruction that they cause in their wake is huge. I think it's becoming an epidemic, really. And so what I'm actually here doing is I'm on this mission to help you guys, because I've actually been there myself. I've had to deal with narcissists in my personal life. I know the drama, trauma, and chaos that they cause. I've had to deal with it on a very, very personal level. I've helped people in my law practice and through my coaching practice and through my SLAY programs. So that's why I'm out here giving you all kinds of free information through my YouTube channel every single day. All right, so I'm going to give you 5 things to stop thinking about narcissists. And so you're going to want to watch all the way till the end, because by the end of this video, hopefully you'll have some really, really good tools to help you. All right, so number 1 is you need to stop thinking that you're going to be able to change them in any possible way. It's so hard because you just hold on to this thought that maybe with some therapy, maybe with the right person, or maybe they're not so bad. Maybe they're not actually a narcissist. Maybe they're not the one that you think. I hope for your sake that that may be the case. But honestly, if you see all the signs, then they're probably what you think. And I saw this great meme recently that said, the minute you're on the web Googling their behavior, it's probably a really big red flag that there's probably a problem, right? So if you are out there thinking that you're going to be able to be the one to change them, you're probably better off looking for a plan to exit and protect yourself and figure out how you're going to live your life in a different way. That's my thought. So number 1 is that you're going to be able to change them. Stop thinking that, because they're probably not going to be able to be rehabilitated. That's number 1. And by the way, when the discard phase comes, you do become public enemy number 1, and they start going after you and making you the crazy one and start smearing you all over the place. And if you are having to deal with false allegations, I do have a whole video on how you deal with narcissist false allegations, and you probably want to check that out. Number 2, stop thinking that they're ever going to acknowledge your feelings. They just don't. And it's so unsatisfying. It's so unsatisfying that you're over there trying to get them to acknowledge what you've done for them, the things that you've accomplished for them, the things that you've contributed to them, or the feelings that you have. They're just not going to do that. Stop trying to get them to. They don't have that capacity. It's like trying to get them to grow an arm if they don't have one that just doesn't exist for them. Stop trying to get them to do that. Really, you're going to get more satisfaction out of banging your head against a brick wall. You're not going to do it. So that's number 2. Number 3 is stop trying to get them to feel real remorse. There's literally something different in their brains. When they were formed as children, they were, in that fight or flight mode. So often something happened that caused them to be in survival mode so much that their brains were literally bathed in chemicals and caused them to be like the emotional growth that did not take place. And so they are just not where you are, more than likely. And so they're just not able to feel that real remorse that you want them to be able to feel. And you need to stop trying to get them to do that. It's just not going to happen. All right. So that's number 3. Number 4 is you just need to stop thinking that you're going to get real closure. Stop thinking you're going to be friends and everybody's going to wrap it up in a nice way. And yes, you contributed this and I contributed this, and let's be friends. And I want you to move on too. And it's just not going to, where you walk off into the sunset and I wish you well and I wish you well too. When I was wrapping up with what turned out to be a narcissistic business partner, I really, really tried very hard to have it be that way. And, they just cannot help themselves from making it into a scorched earth thing. They're just so hurt. Their whole narcissistic injury thing. They're seeing their narcissistic supply walking out the door. They don't like it. And they've got to posture themselves. And so they're going to make it into a thing, and they can't help themselves. And so you just got to say to yourself, I'm moving on. I'm moving on. And so I want you to put that in the comments right now. I'm moving on. And that's what you're going to do. You're going to create your own new life. And that's going to be so much better for you. And, wish them well. Wish them well. But there's nothing more that you can do. All right. So stop thinking that you're going to get real closure, because you're not. And the last one is stop thinking that they are all powerful and that you can never win. Boy, if I had, $1 for every time somebody said that to me, please. They want you to believe that. They've conditioned you to believe that. That is so not true. Everyone thinks that narcissists are so powerful that you can never win against narcissists, that why bother? It's not true. Absolutely not true. I know that with the right tools, with the right understanding of how narcissists think, you absolutely can win every single time. When you become fearless against narcissists, when you no longer have that fear against narcissists, I know what it's like. And what happens when you no longer have fear against narcissists? Well, there's so many different things that happen when that power dynamic shifts. And I've seen it happen so many times, but it's a gradual process. Okay. Because, they're in it for the supply. People think they're in it to win it. They're not in it to win it. They're in it for the supply. They're only in it for the supply. And they're in it for many different forms of supply. And one of the things that I have to explain to people a lot of times is that when you go into the discard phase of the relationship, they really actually shift the form of supply that they've been getting from you. Okay, so you understand, right, that there have been the different phases of the relationship. They start off with the whole love bombing thing, that charm, which is all really just to get that supply out of you in the first place. They want to get as quickly as possible to the next phase so that they can start getting the supply out of you as fast as possible. And so as fast as possible, they want to get to the next phase, which is the devalue phase. But it's really more to start exerting control over you, because they want to start showing you that they're powerful, and they want to start letting you know that they're in control of you. How they do that is devaluing you in some ways and letting you know that you are under their thumb. And they also are testing you in that devaluing phase. Okay. So part of the ghosting and the devaluing and all of that is to test you, to see how you react when they do those kinds of things. Are you going to be a good source of supply for them? So then, when you start to pull away, they're coming back just, oh, no, I don't want you to go because I need you. Leaving them is actually the worst thing that you could possibly do. They have a very, very, very fragile ego. You're really there to serve that need for supply for them. So then when you enter into that discard phase and you actually do start to want to leave them, they want you to be afraid of them. They want you to fear them. And so then when you do start to leave them, they're afraid of that. They don't want you to leave them. because they want you to be afraid of them. They want you to fear them. So now it happened. You've been fully conditioned. So you start to leave them. They go into their tantrum phase. Everything that they have done to control you throughout the relationship, they're going to get worse on. They're going to start to collapse, go crazy. And if you want to know more about what happens when the narcissist starts to collapse, you can definitely check out my video on the narcissist collapse. Not pretty. Definitely not pretty. So they start going crazy. They don't want you to leave. So when you do start to leave, now, they start grasping. They go into all their phases of, whatever they were doing in the first place. Now, when you do start to leave, they're going crazy, right? So smear campaigns, flying monkeys, all of that. And then in the middle of a divorce, by the way, it's the worst, depending on what kind of narcissist you're dealing with. It could be covert, malignant, grandiose, but they're not providing documents. They're using the court system as a sword. They might only provide a certain amount of documents. They're hiding money. They might be manipulating text messages, manipulating evidence. They might be tampering with witnesses, evidence, lying to the court system, using the children as pawns in the whole thing, suddenly interested in having the children half the time, trying to get the children to be against you. I mean, whatever it is that they need to do, right? Now you finally are getting past all of that and you start to see through them. And you're on the other side of that, and you start to realize how strong you actually are, and you start to really realize how pathetic they actually are, and you start to realize how strong you actually are. You start to realize that you are actually the stronger one, and you've gotten on the other side of seeing how you've actually been able to slay this beast. You will be so shocked at how they behave. They're going to be avoiding you. They don't want to go anywhere near you. And by the way, they do trade forms of supply. I started to mention that. So whatever form of supply they were getting from you in the relationship, whether it was money, services, sex, you were doing stuff for them, they trade that during the discard phase for manipulating you, making you crazy. People think they just want to win. They don't just want to necessarily win, because they trade that for driving you absolutely insane. And that's why these cases never settle, because they love jerking you around. But when you don't fear them anymore, that's when they don't actually want to have anything more to do with you, because you're no longer a good source of supply. And by the way, that's the type of person that the narcissist most respects, the person who doesn't fear them. So I want you to write in the comments right now, no fear, because that's your goal. That's your goal. Your goal is no fear. So for those of you who are ready to go there, I want you to subscribe to this channel right now. Subscribe, hit that notification bell if you haven't done that already. And make sure that you like this video and share it for others who need this content and need this empowerment, because it is time that we all have no fear against narcissists, right? And this is really, really, really one of the most important things that you can do when you are dealing with a narcissist, either in your personal life, in your business life, or when you are negotiating with a narcissist. It's such a really, really great tool that you will have in your toolbox. And I actually say that you can use this either as, in a way, sort of a weapon or as a shield. Because when you're dealing with a narcissist, you definitely need both. And you can use this right away and in any time when you're communicating with a narcissist. It means, in a way, is like you literally become like a boulder. In a way, it's more like a boulder than a rock, but you can kind of think of it as gray rock. So you become devoid of emotion. You become immovable. Just think of yourself as kind of a gray rock. What does a gray rock do? What does a gray boulder do? It just sits there. It doesn't get triggered. It doesn't move. It just literally sits there. I mean, I remember doing this when I was dealing with a couple of narcissists in my life. And I didn't know the term gray rock at the time. I just kind of instinctively knew to do this. It's kind of like I knew, don't give them the satisfaction. You know that they're trying to get under your skin. You know that they want to get some kind of rise out of you. You just don't give it to them. Because what happens is they get narcissistic supply out of that. They love to see you go crazy. They love to see you get triggered. You just have to do whatever you can not to allow yourself to show that. And that's why you really need to have those boundaries. That's why you really need to keep your interactions as brief as possible, because you know that you're going to get triggered, especially if you've had a longer term relationship with them. They know how to push your buttons. They just know exactly what to do to push those buttons. So you just try to be steadfast. You try to be indifferent. So here are some good examples. They text you. They text you something where they want some big dramatic response out of you. Just write back K, just like the one letter, just the letter K or KK. Something like that, you know, like my teenage daughter will respond like that sometimes. I mean, she's not trying to be like gray rock to me. She'll just do that to be cute sometimes, but you can just do that. Or you can just say, okay, if that's what you want or whatever. I mean, you know, just make it clear, like, I'm not affected by you. I am so not affected by you. I mean, I remember one time there was somebody in my family who was like really trying to get, you know, some emotional response going on. You know, you just like put it back on them like, oh geez, you know, I'm sure traveling is really stressful or something like that. Like you just like put it on them like, I'm sure you're really stressed out right now. You know, you don't even like take it personally at all. Like, I'm sure you're really stressed out right now. I'm sure you must be going through a really tough time. You don't even make it seem like whatever they're saying about you has anything to do with you at all. Because a lot of times, not only do they get narcissistic supply from it, they're also trying to get you to do something that they can then use against you for custody, use against you in court to make it look like you're crazy, something like that. So, you know, don't give that to them, because then they'll be able to show the judge, the mediator, see, I told you that person is unbalanced or bipolar or whatever it is that they're trying to say about you, right? So you got to be really, really careful about that, because there it is in black and white. You know, you just give them that one time, or worse, they use it against you for a potential restraining order. I've seen that happen before. I mean, just that one time that you throw that one thing, or you slam that door, or you yell, and now the cops are showing up at your house and you're suddenly getting arrested for domestic violence. And there it is. You don't want to have that happen. You got to stay in control of your emotions. You got to be that gray rock, right? And especially because, you know, if they show up at your kid's soccer game with that new form of supply or whatever, and they want you to say something so bad, you just say, oh, hello, to their new person. How are you? So nice to meet you. You just smile. Don't say a word. Don't say a word. Nothing other than that, because that is what they want. They want so much to get under your skin, so much. Think about Ted Lasso, right? I don't know if you guys watch that show, but you know, I actually have a video, by the way, on the narcissistic characters in Ted Lasso, which you could definitely check out if you'd like. But you know, there's actually a scene in that show where Rebecca's ex-husband comes in And he wants to just tell her about how he has gotten his new girlfriend pregnant. And you could tell that she's bothered by the fact that he did that. And he says, oh, I guess I had to, find the right person or something like that. And, it just so gets under her skin. She just doesn't want to let on. Just don't let on. That's the right thing to do, because that is exactly what they want. Don't give them the satisfaction. Don't let them see you sweat. So I want you to put that in the comments right now. Don't let them see you sweat, because that's what they want. Go scream in the shower, go cry in the shower, scream in your pillow, do whatever you need to do. But you are a gray rock in front of their face. That's what you have to do. You just, in front of their face, you just smile. Even when they're gaslighting you and they're saying things, like, we had that conversation and this is how it went. I want you to smile and say, oh, you just obviously aren't remembering correctly. Oh, you just must not remember, or we remember it differently. Just say it like that. We just remember it differently. And, we can agree to disagree. And that's it. And you can just smile and walk away. The rest of what you want to say can just be silent. Just fill in the blanks silently in your head. And you don't have to say it out loud. Karma never forgets. She's got a very long memory, and karma always comes back around, because what goes around comes around. My dad used to say, be careful what you throw up in the air, because it will come back down on your head. And it definitely does. You can just say, like, I'm sorry you feel that way. That's fine, just because we disagree, you don't have to be disagreeable. That's totally fine too. And you can fake it. I call it ethically manipulating the manipulator. You don't have to be anything other than whole and complete. And you are planted firmly in your power. You know who you are. And this is you knowing who you are, right? And yeah, it can be exhausting. It can be draining. And that's why you keep those interactions as brief as possible. You really don't want to spend a whole lot of time around this person, because they do want to drain you. They do want to trigger you. They're constantly needling you. They're constantly trying to get some kind of reaction out of you, because that's what feeds them. That's their food. That's their lifeblood. That's their oxygen. If they don't get that, then they're going to try to, slither on down the road to get it from somebody else. It's their way. It's how they're built. And you're not going to change that. You're never going to change that. I recently had a conversation with Marissa Peer, who's one of the most renowned therapists in the world. She won't even counsel narcissists. She won't even take them in her practice. You know why? Because she knows she can't change them. Think about that. She knows that there's nothing she can do for them. She'll help the people who've been traumatized by them, because she knows that she can help them. She knows that she can do something for them, but she can't help the narcissist. You know why? Because they have no self-awareness. They can't be helped. They can't be saved. So if the therapist who does hypnotherapy, who literally trains thousands of therapists all over the world, cannot help them, you cannot help them. You can't do it. You literally do not have the tools to do it. So what can you do when you're around them? You can just go gray rock. You use that as your shield. You use that as your weapon. You say, okay, if that's what you want to think, sure, I agree with you, great, whatever. You just give them nothing, because you know why? They get bored. They get bored with a gray rock eventually. They're not interested in the gray rock. They don't care about the gray rock anymore. They move on from the gray rock because they want supply. They're not getting it from something that's not giving them any kind of feedback. You know, my husband and I used to have somebody in our family who was, you know, like trying to get a rise out of somebody. And then as soon as the person would finally be upset, like angry, like on the verge of tears, this person would be like, oh, now we're having a conversation. All right, now we're getting going. This is good. What? Yeah, but that's, to that person, that's what that meant, because that person was finally getting fed. You don't want to be food for a narcissist. That's no fun. So just, you know, become a gray rock, protect yourself, use that as your shield. You don't go to war without weapons. You don't get ahead in battle without weapons. You don't go to war without a shield to protect yourself, right? And when you're in battle with a narcissist, you need weapons. When you're dealing with a narcissist, it's either black or white. That's how they see things. You're either for them or you're against them. When you're in that discard phase, you are definitely against them because you become public enemy number one. So when it becomes time to say goodbye, they want to make sure that you go down before they go down. They want the whole world to see that you were wrong. This is when you see the birth of the smear campaign, right? So you got to have protection, and your protection will be that gray rock. Just become a gray rock. So no more supply, no supply for you, because you are no longer giving yourself to someone who doesn't deserve it.